All right. What is up, you crazy community? Welcome to another episode of Live with Metamona. I'm your host, Metamona, and as always, here to bring you the latest, most exciting topics with expert conversations in Web3, crypto, AI, and whatever else you want to talk about. Before you get started, if you're new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button right down in the corner and support your girl and support this channel so I can bring you as much content as I possibly can. So, you already know it. As for tonight, we're going to dive into this fascinating world you guys got going on called VeVe Digital Collectibles. Because as some of you already know, my job as a Web3 journalist is to bridge the gap between Web3 projects like VeVe and then the mainstream audience. So, my goal for tonight is to do exactly that. And I need your help to do that with me and my special guest. And so when it comes to the special guest, I thought, who is going to be better to educate us and answer our questions than the founder of VeVe himself, David Yu. So needless to say, he is our special guest. And I'm going to bring him in the room here with us. Let's see where he is. There he is. Hey, Dave, how are you?
Hi, Mona. I'm well, thank you.
I am so excited that I was able to finally get you on the show. So welcome on my show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, sorry it took a while. Definitely quite a few months in the works.
Yes. Well, you're all the way in New Zealand, first of all, so we had to coordinate that. Then you've been traveling a lot. You just went to Japan and you just came back from Japan, which Mr. MC has been wanting me to ask you right off the bat. How was Japan? Did you learn anything? Did you bring anything exciting back? So we might as well answer that question right now. How was Japan?
Yeah, 2023 has been extraordinary year for VeVe. Obviously, our biggest job, similar to any company, is try to get as many brands and IP and categories. And Japan is definitely on our target list for 2024. So it takes a long time, and the way Japanese market works is still very traditional. You meet and greet, you constantly keep update with what's happening there. The manga industry is a huge business. In fact, I read an article sent to me this morning. It's overtaking the Western comic. So the characters, and you start to see a lot of these anime manga has turned into either a short TV series in Netflix and so on. A quite famous one that recently came on was One Piece. There's a live action. So it's definitely got a huge growing population and audience for that appetite.
Yeah, I bet. And I'm sure there's regulations and but I'm sure there's interest as well. And that's a whole topic that we can have.
Mm.
There is so much we need to cover with you tonight. First and foremost, I want to let the audience know, guys, you know that my audience is mainstream. So what I'm going to talk to David about tonight is the question that I know my neighbor, my uncle, my cousin, people who have no idea about VeVe are going to have. So Miss Gak is in the chat with us moderating, so please be nice to her. I do want to answer your questions, and we're going to keep them for the very end of the show. So stick with us until you can ask your questions. But please try to keep your questions related to big picture questions, okay? And those specific community questions, we're going to leave those for the Discord. So I just want to get some of these housekeeping things out of the way and get started with our conversation. David, I've heard so much about you. Not only I've heard you're a visionary, I've heard you're a passionate collector. So I can't wait to hear about that. But I hear that it's all of that, your love and passion for collecting and love for technology is what has inspired VeVe. Um, but I want you to do the introduction. I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to to my mainstream audience and those who don't know you, and then talk to us about why did you start VeVe?
Yeah, thank you. Well, it's a huge question. That start well. many of you who doesn't know me, I'm David, co-founder, CEO of VeVe. VeVe really began our journey in 2017. And the whole frontier of the idea is to build a digital collectible app that taking the mainstream gaming collectibles into something that is a new medium. Just like you will be collecting a statue of Batman, Spider-Man, we at VeVe is offering you an opportunity to own one of these limited edition through digital. My career really started back in 1997. Started my first retail gaming store, importing games such as Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer, and board games, what have you not, down to New Zealand. And that business have spanned over the last 25 years. It is still around. It is still a key, core part of the fundamental of my belief in the collectible and gaming industry. So what really got me into the digital side? One of the important aspect is really I have seen a huge uptake of new generations of users getting into mobile apps. They're playing computer game, and the day to day of games like Fortnite or Roblox have really demonstrated that young audience really understood and understand the key aspect of digital asset. They buy skins, they buy new weapons, they buy new accessories to go with it. So that digital transformation is about to happen. It is happening, and we're in the very beginning of that forefront. So that's one of the major reason why got into the VV in that side. But prior to VV, we before starting VV, a key importance was also understand the security. At VV, we pride ourselves on the security front of things, and we bought out a product back in 2000 and I think 18, 17, 18, around that period, the Komi Digital Secure Wallet, and that was really the frontier of safeguarding digital asset because both myself and my co-founder, before we started this business, we thought about, well, what will be very important when we start moving into the digital realm of asset protection. Security is a major problem. Back in 2017, 18, 19, you read on the paper all about media platforms, wallets being hacked, etc. So we kind of wanted to demonstrate that, and introducing that cold storage wallet was our first step into it. And then we also want to demonstrate with the IP owner that we take security very serious. And with the knowledge of myself and my co-founder Dan, we decided, a good frontier will be getting into that digital collectible realm. And what have you known today? A lot of people think it's an overnight success, but this business really been built up and geared up from day one in 97 when I first got into the gaming and the collectible business. And that's where we are today.
Yeah, you actually bring up a good point because I am a business. Actually, hold on one second.
That's where we are today.
Give me one second.
Yeah,
Here.
you actually bring up a good point because I am a business.
Overhearing. I think am I overhearing or are you overhearing? Let me just fix that real quick.
I'm okay on my end. So
Yeah.
I think am I overhearing or
Something is replaying. Do you guys hear that in the chat?
okay on my end? So
Something is replaying. Do you guys hear that in
yeah.
the chat? Yeah, I'm hearing a replay. Give me just a second. Let me see where this replay is coming from.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm hearing a replay. Give me just a second. Let me see where this replay is coming from. Let me just close. Sorry, guys. Give me a second. David, are you sure you don't have anything on? Any,
Uh,
any tabs on?
nope, pretty good. Hold on.
You don't have anything on.
Mute your live stream. Uh, Mute your live stream.
That's so weird. Somebody said mute the live stream. Let's see. That's so weird. Somebody said mute the live. This is so weird, guys. I don't know where this is coming from. Somebody said mute the. Let me see. This is so weird, guys. I don't know where this is coming from. Oh, I think you were right. It was the phone. How did you know that? Wow, guys. See,
Go
this is
back.
why I love you guys. Thank you, Daniel. It was the phone. That is so weird. Okay, let's get back into it. You brought up a good point because I am a business owner myself, and I think one thing people don't realize is that um, as a startup, your business and your concept evolves so much until you finally fine tune it and it finally becomes and molds into what your vision was, in the very beginning. And your vision also evolves too. So and we're still so early, and I really want people to understand that as we're having this conversation. But what I want to do, and you brought up some good points with security, and those are some topics that we definitely want to talk about. But one thing that where I want to start this is that how loved VeVe is. I mean, this community loves VeVe. They love you, and I want the mainstream audience to also love VeVe. And I want them to see why it's so lovable, and more importantly, why this idea of this concept of digital collectibles, though it comes from Web3, it's a serious business because people out in the world, they don't take it as a serious business. And we'll talk about why they don't. Obviously, being it speculative has a lot to do with it. But there is so much here to love and see the future and innovation in. So what I want to do is I want to bring up the website here, and let me just share my screen, and I'm going to hide behind the website. Will you take us? I mean, for those, because we're going to do a podcast on this too, and there are going to be some people that they can't see what I'm looking at, but um, I have the website up, guys, here, and we're talking about legacy IPs and brands here on the website that people have been collecting in their physical forms for decades, right? And as I browse here, David, will you talk to us about what we're looking at here? Can you walk us through these
Yeah.
collectibles? What are they? And more importantly, how did VeVe manage to bring these iconic brands into the digital realm?
Yeah, to start with, the brands that we brought together in VV is taking a number of years, and we continue. My job in the company is to ensure we secure new brands and what have you not. The what you're seeing here on the Coke and our webpage, which advertise the Coca-Cola drop, which we have a beautiful set of introducing the Coke vending machines. And I think some of these machines going back way back to the 50s, 60s, 70s. For the very first time, you'll be able to own one of these. And they're not really just a JPEG. They are something you can use your mobile phone to augment reality it out in your own space, in your living room, where have you not. And what you're looking at is one of the more modern one that's coming out. I think there's
Very
four in
cool.
this drop series coming out uh,
Wow.
for this Christmas. And before that, you had the USPS stamps, and like you have talked about, these are all legacy brands. Brands that's been around, and stamp collecting is still one of the largest hobby around the world. Here we have the USPS stamp that we're bringing out for this year for the Christmas period. Um, you are looking at the snow globe, and I think there's 4 stamps plus
Yeah.
what I call a miniature sheet, and I really started to bring this vision together based on things that I collected as a childhood and what is a nostalgia to me, and bring and what Vivi tried to aim to do is to touch every collector in their heart in a different way. You might grow up with that Coke brand, remember that vending machine, or you never grew up in that era where the vending machine's around, but now you could own one, and bring it into your living room. We also celebrate a lot with independent artists. So down there you have the third one in the middle was the
I believe you.
release of the Designer Con, which we did a partnership with amazing talent, European artists from Amsterdam, the London Police, and they did a parody of couple artwork of, envision what their character would look like if they were playing with their lightsabers. Then on the right, you have the 100-year celebration of this year for the
Wow.
Disney 100, and this program's been running for the past, I think, 12 months now, and we're coming towards a closing of this. And the program includes, I believe, this month we are crafting, or users who own certain collectible can start crafting for the, I think the one of the tables and chair, the designer, one of the retro Disney studio tables, art tables. Here you're seeing the potions. So users who bought them, they can craft for an artwork exclusively on our platform here. So these are just some of the 4 drops that you are seeing across, and that's really just celebrating the 100 year of the storytelling of one of the most famous studio. And then further down there, a comic is a major part, and comic is big. Is a major thing for me. Since I was a kid, I collect them. I still collect them today. So, and comic has become a big part of our day-to-day business here at VV. What you're seeing here is some of the backlisted issues of comic books that has been produced, and what we been working on with Marvel is to come up with new cover variants for our collectors out there. Some of these cover variants are very exclusive. The artwork were produced just to be on our platform here. So you're seeing some of the
Yeah.
secret rare and the ultra rare covers here.
There's a lot of people out there who actually own the physical items here. I mean, even when I look at this Coke machine, I can swear somebody I've known
Mhm.
has this Coke machine. How does if we want to call it phygital, the physical version of these, well, yeah, how do we connect, or how are you connecting the physical version to the digital, especially when it comes to the collectors who hold some of the physical items here?
Well, it's very important that this whole industry started in a very physical format, and we
Yeah.
want these collectible to be as true to its origin. So the Coke machines are all being approved by Coca-Cola themselves. The aesthetic, the color, the design to be right on point. Same as the covers that comics that you're going through. They are what you see, how you were on one of these if you're in the 50s or 60s, 70s. And the beauty about the industry we are moving into, and why we're bringing some of these older classic items, is that you physically could not buy them. You could, because it's so limited, so hard to get one of them.
Yeah.
So I think Coke machine is something everyone dream about when they're at school or varsity. They go, when I grow up, I want to have a Coke machine at home, or something similar. This is an opportunity. You could own a digital version of it, and just place it through your room. Down here, you got some artworks. This is a program that we've been running, I think, about a year or so now. and that's working with some of the most talented Marvel artists. So I was very lucky to meet Mark Brook as well. At the Tokyo Comic Con, and just really understanding, learning his style of artwork, what he does. And this section here is a very unique part of VeVe, and it's only available on our web platform. Basically, you are going into a silent bid auction to purchase this one-of-one digital artwork, and I believe it comes out every Monday, or we try to have one that's on auction every Monday. So they are the one of the digital artwork. They are fully licensed and approved by our licensor in this.
Do you think that the digital, I mean, the physical, sorry, will always be more rare, or do you think these digital there will be a time decades from now where these could be a rare too?
Yeah. So one of the most interesting thing is these artwork you see here, they are actually now done in digital format. So you
Mhm.
don't actually have a physical one of these artwork. A lot of the artists you see now in comic, they draw through digital. So they
Mhm.
don't actually do the traditional painting into a board. I mean, they still do, but not every artist and not every piece of art for time and for the detailness and the coloring. So they are all done through digital format. So you couldn't actually purchase any of these. I believe maybe one or two, but most of these are only available as a digital format. And same as the 3D sculptures, the final toys you purchase, the original, a lot of the artists are using digital tools to sculpt the very first one. So we are basically essentially taking that file and turning into the digital. And this one in London Police quite fun. You got
This is so
animation and sounds and the digital collectible. So therefore, the physical format, you couldn't have a real canvas painting that moves or animate and makes sound. So the digital format allows that treatment to be added on. So it is only available as a digital. What you're seeing through and you just click through is VV media that we put together. Here's the introduction of the London police themselves. And I swear they don't look like this in real life.
love the hair.
It's a
Um,
skit they put together.
yeah, I mean, this is very interesting, and there's so many questions that I want to pose here, but I want to keep it very, again, s- uh, focused on what the mainstream audience would want to know here, especially those who have been collecting these items in its physical form for decades and decades. Right off the bat, I noticed that you call them digital collectibles. I haven't yet heard you say NFTs. So, is this an NFT or is this a digital collectible? And what is the difference?
Yeah. So the difference right now for Fifi, I talked about security early on. They are minted on the immutable X on layer two, so you can say, and you know the address is available publicly. And but what Fifi does is it has that one war garden at the moment where users are logging on with their Fifi account, their password, and we are going for the mainstream customers. We know the difficulty for some of these younger audience and new beginners to learn what a private key and so on. So in a way, we are self guard. Well, we're war garden, and we basically look after all the private keys for the users on behalf.
So it is an NFT then, correct?
Yes,
Because it is
it
on a
is.
blockchain.
Yes, well, we always use the word digital collectible for the mass market audience to understand what this product is. I mean, you kind of moving into, um, I mean, the NFT word is not every day you walk up to someone and say, "Do you collect NFT?" Well,
Right.
In our perspective, from my perspective, you're collecting, if you're not collecting a physical, um, tangible product, you're collecting a digital product. So the digital collectible just naturally rhymes and makes sense. And we roll that from day one, basically.
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The mainstream audience, they don't like the word NFT. They connect it to a speculative market that is numbers up and numbers down. So absolutely, digital collectibles is more palatable for the mainstream audience. But there is something behind the NFT, which is the blockchain, which I'm going to bring in a little bit later, especially when it comes to collectibles that offers something that is very important here. But before I get into that, as we're going through these digital collectibles, um, I just couldn't stop thinking that when it comes to collectibles, let's say Marvel comics like Amazing Fantasy, Journey into the Mystery, or Disney's collectibles, or Star Wars collectibles, down to what you mentioned, stamps, collecting stamps.
Mm.
People collected these physical items, and to this day, they're collecting these digital physical items because of rarity, tradability, tangibility, sentimental values, of course, investment, right? Stamps, historic significance, um, art, artistic appreciation, and more importantly, because they want to be a part of that community and fandom. So if we categorize these reasons as our Web3 definition of utility, what
Mm.
unique utility is Vivi bringing to the table with these digital collectibles? What can a Disney fan or a Marvel fan, for that matter, do with these collectibles that we just showed everyone?
Yeah, 100%. The collectible industry being around, back in Roman times, they collect different things, coins and so on. We we basically moving and providing a new medium in the collectible industry. So what we're trying to do is try to mirror that out as much as possible. So when you think about the comic book, and moving more and more, a lot of the comic collectors are getting their comic books slab in the plastic braiding cases. So they don't actually have the opportunity to read that comic unless there's a reprint version of it for cheaper price. So the digital medium allows that user, number one, is to own that. So when we go to scarcity, every single piece of the collectible is issued and minted with VV. They do come with their own unique number. If it's number one of 500, number two of 500, you get that. Number two, you get to read the comic books. So the comic book, you get to flip through the pages, and for the collectibles, you do
The
have the
digital
opportunity.
version, right?
Yeah, correct, the digital
Right.
version, and then you get to augment AR, the digital 3D content, and take photos with your favorite character. And in this case, if you want to see a Spider-Man standing next to you, you could do that. You upload it through your social, and it creates a way of people communicate one way or another,
Does
because
that
you have.
require AR?
Yes, it does. The VeVe app, obviously not on the web app, the app from via the Apple phone and Google phone, Android download, allows users to AR the characters out, and you can take a photo. And we are bringing the video streaming, the video side, the video recording side out very shortly. I think it could be in the coming weeks. So it allows you to do that. And the thirdly is the Fivi has a marketplace within the app. So you can sell and you can list items that you have multiple that you no longer want, or you want to sell some other stuff to acquire other collectibles. So we do have that marketplace available. And the other
So there
point
is
is,
tradability. Let me before I go into that. You when going back to AR, um, what percentage of the mainstream do you think have that accessibility? And if they don't, then does that limit the utility for them to only reading, correct? Would there be a tradability factor here?
Yeah, so anyone who has an iPhone, I believe 12 plus or above, with the AR function updated through Android phone, you have full access to all your collectibles through that AR function and feature. So it's really up to your phone capability. Every collectible on our VV app, you can AR. Now, answering your questions in regards to that resale, and we understand the importance of people when they first buy a physical comic or they line up for a sneaker in a retail shop. They go home, they might jump on the eBay, they try to find out what is the shoe worth, if they got a good buy. A lot of them don't trade. They just want to know what the secondary market value is. So VeVe has that marketplace within the app as well as through our web platform.
Well, specifically, I asked that question because I live 5 minutes away from Disney, and Disney just recently banned pin trading. And
Mm,
I saw the Pinnacle just with Dapper that
yes.
just got released, and Disney started doing that. And that's why I bring up tradability, because when you go into Disney characters, I mean, those pins, people are addicted to trading those pins. Can you do that with VV Collectibles?
Right now, we don't allow the peer-to-peer swap. Like you couldn't send me one and I give you two. We allow users to sell them, list them. If you have duplicate of them, you could sell one listed in the market for buy now or as an auction.
Right. And so will Disney fans who, let's say, were pin traders, and that now they're coming to at least be able to trade the digital characters in that manner, how long do you think, would you say, they have to wait to be able to do that? Because I know that's what they're going to want to do first and foremost. They want to be able to trade those characters because that's what they do with the physical items, right?
Yes. So I'm not too sure about the Pinnacle program, if it allows you to do the trading, but certainly on VV, these characters you can trade them if you have multiples and you choose to sell them. Yeah, and where I envision the world will happen is what you see physically today, like you can trade maybe a pin for a collectible. Once the technology allows it, the security side, the definition of what the regulatory will define the category we're in, they could be one day interoperable through a digital asset from one channel to another channel. That's how I envision the world will happen, just like you see in the physical world. And
I think
they
interoperability, yeah, that's very important, right? You have to have some level of interoperability here, right?
Yes, 100%. So a lot of companies such as VV, we are looking at internally how we can have that interoperability within our own ecosystems, number one, because obviously digital has been around for a long time. If you play online game, it's not like you can bring your Diablo character to your World of Warcraft and or your World of Warcraft characters into your GTA game. So that interoperability is still very limited in the digital gaming. But you start to see cross branding, collabs. So you see in Fortnite, you have a Marvel characters in there, and so on, and you have digital concerts. Famous artists are putting on digital concert in these games. So you're starting to see and understand the importance of that, and that's where that physical and digital are moving into that merging. And I really do believe that one day the cross-platform, once you find a unified way and how the licensors will approve it, will step much closer into that.
I was just going to ask, are you close? Are you guys close to that? Because this is a very integral part of this experience,
Yeah.
especially when you introduce interactive experiences
Mm.
with through these collectibles, right?
Yes. Our we number one is we really need to think about the security aspect, because what we don't want is in the middle of a transfer of some asset or another wallet being hacked, and customers are ringing us to give us that headache to deal with. So we are looking at ways how we carefully will craft this. We are in the very beginning. I mean, VeVe's only been live for 3 years coming.
Still new.
It is, yeah, it is very new. It's almost saying, why when I play my Pokemon card game, I can't mix that with my Dragon Ball Z or my Magic the Gathering. Well, the card game itself and that ecosystem, they don't interrupt to each other. But in the trading aspect, I can understand that, and that's why there's so many brands on VeVe we try to bring on. So if you love Coca-Cola, you love collecting stamp art, you love that Disney character, you can actually trade and sell the Coke machine you don't like for the stamp art and so on. So for
Yeah.
us, in the short term, is how we can add more utility within our ecosystem to bridge that in the meantime. Where and I understand the importance of that self custody. What you're really talking about is that, do I really have that in my wallet, and can I easily sell it? Um, and we understand these concerns and what people want.
Yeah. So could we confidently say that your vision, X number of years or months, is interoperability, is
Yeah, we really
tradability?
yeah, we aiming for that. That's definitely our goal, and we are aiming for that. From our day one, when we pitch to licensor, we pitch something quite big in the grand scale, where um, we told them that the world is moving towards this in digital. Um,
Yeah.
without giving too much promise or definite, but we are aiming in that goal that it will happen. It just really matter of time. Right now, you have only starting to see the licensors are moving with other platforms to produce other licensed collectibles, and we welcome that. The reason being is, if there's only one platform that does everything, it's not really collectible. It's just one thing. I talked about many times, if there's only one comic publisher out there or one toy manufacturer in the world, that there won't be that collectible and fun around it. The collectability is really around the different type of offering and methods and categories.
Gosh, I mean, these all of these offerings in and of itself are huge projects. So I really hope people understand what each of these offerings really entail, considering Vivi's only been around for 3 years, you mentioned. I want to jump straight right into ownership and authenticity, because when it comes to collecting, authenticity and ownership are huge factors. People are going to want to know. They want reliable verification methods, right? They're going to want secure and transparent ways to make sure that their collectibles are legitimate, right? Are these collectibles, or are they going to be? Are they, or are they going to be authenticated and ownership confirmed on the blockchain? How do collectors verify these aspects?
Yes. So number one, everything is minted on blockchain. I do believe that there's softwares and sites out there. You can basically check it on immutable scan to scan the blockchain ID. The other thing is, everything on VeVe are licensed products. We do work and license these content, the articles, and work with the talent to create these. Um, and yeah, I mean, all license fees are paid. So in that regards, we have no problem in authenticating. And the providence of this is really that timestamp release. You can check it out in your VV app. When you click into that collectible, you scroll down, you will see your mint numbers, You will also see how many editions being made, when it's being made, how much is the latest price being trading at, and so on.
So can they see, and this is what I was saying earlier about the blockchain and why it's important here when it comes to NFTs, is because we know that it brings authenticity, and the ability to trace and track that ownership. Um, and so when we say digital collectibles, and that's why earlier I said, are they NFT or are they
Mhm.
digital collectibles? I wanted to confirm the structure and the infrastructure that's behind
Yeah,
them to make sure that people can trade these, track these back to perhaps its original owners. So talk to
yeah,
me about ownership of
yeah.
me buying this vending machine.
Yeah, so once you first mint it, you will basically see in the blockchain that it's been created by the company. You will easily see how many mint numbers. When users press the buy now button, it gets assigned to your account, and then there is the provident of that movement of that first trade. And when you sell it in the secondary market, it does record the ownership going to the other users or your peer. So it is fully traceable through and via blockchain. And we use Immutable X to allow us. They are a third party independent blockchain. It's not an in house blockchain that we develop. And for us, we are also looking at new methods, new technology out there. Our team of engineers and research team are always constantly learning new, faster, cheaper transaction costs and so on. So right now, all those costs in that trading is being absorbed by VeVe internally in regards to the fees. We do charge a small fee ranging from 2.5% to 8.5%, pending if the licensors have a, a royalty to be paid out. So, and all that is included in that fee.
And again, I could go down this rabbit hole too, but I'm not going to. And maybe we'll have a part two on this. But I want to go back to utility because I know the mainstream audience are always going to ask me, what can I do with this? What can I do with this? And I want to bring up a conversation that I was having with Luca from Pudgy Penguins yesterday. And he said to me, um, by the way, he said hello to you. He said to me, people ask him, or I'll quote him. He said, people ask me about utility, and they just had a game, and or they're developing a game, and the game that we're promoting, and I say to them that utility is easy. It's easy to create an experience, but a utility doesn't matter if I don't have a million people playing my game. So it starts with the audience. And I feel like Vivi can easily, Pudgy Penguins has the opposite problem, right? Because Pudgy Penguin has started an IP from, they don't have the legacy IP, but Vivi here can easily have the audience because of its legacy IPs, because people already love these characters. There's
Mm.
already millions of people passionate about them. But how does the paradigm shift happen for Vivi? How do you convert those physical audiences that are already pre-existing around these uh, legacy IPs? How do you convert them to digital ones? How do you bring them all over here?
Yes, so obviously at the very start, when we went through a hype or a bull market in NFTs or digital collectible, that market really just spiked really fast. And what we have seen in the past couple quarters at least, the market has definitely softened. So number one is understanding our key customers internally and evaluate what our customer want and bring more of those value to our customers. Number two is how we acquire these customers for future growth. Very important is that the mass market. The mass market has always been our audience, and how you make that collectible more fun, more appealing, more relevant for these audience. Um, our job at VeVe is to make that compelling evidence that digital collecting is same as the physical collecting. So what we have done, we have done the release with Funko. Um, this was the Q3 during the New York Comic Con, uh, where a users or a customer of theirs could buy a physical, I think it was the Tony Stark Iron Man figure, uh, working with Marvel to bring that out, and then the user gets a redemption card to onboard onto VeVe. So a lot of and I have to say, a lot of those customers are VeVe customers. So in a way, it's giving the VeVe customer the first opportunity to own one of our first collectible that we've done a collab with. But also for those of you who bought that product, it allows them to download that app and bring them onto VeVe. So we are going to start to see in 2024 a transformation of more physical content onto the platform and how we mirror that up. The idea is that kids these days, they buy a toy, they buy a pop, they buy a collectible. They don't even open the boxes anymore. And that's why a lot of these toys have these cellophane windows. So you could actually just display on your shelf as it is, because they feel anything that's even the box is dented, it's worth less money. And the beauty around the digital side is that it allows you to bring it out. It allows you to carry everything you have in the palm of your phone, in your hand with the phone, and you can transport it, take it anywhere you want. And then if you're in the outdoor park, you use the AR function to bring it out, and that's the utility side. And other onboarding method that we are reaching out is bringing more relevant IPs. Right now you have seen some of these big brand studios. Now we have started to introduce gaming studios, and we'll be announcing a lot more gaming studio content partnership coming out. There's verticals like music, there's a new vertical like sports, but it's about timing it. I mean, during the bull market, it's very easy just to bring anything out and anything will be speculated. For VV, it's about how we can connect that with our audience. If you love Coca-Cola, it's very likely you also like Spider-Man. If you like Spider-Man, you might also read Batman comic. And if you collect what we've been offering, you might collect digital prints. Vice versa, the industry is about educating, and we're in the very forefront of this.
Yeah. And if you don't mind connecting the dot here for me, because as you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, I mean, Disney could look at Vivi and go full fledged, right? And Harry Potter could say, "Hey, sign into our wallet," and 30 million people are going to do it, right? So when it
Right.
comes to growth, how can these legacy IP brands like Disney be a part of this process? Why are they not part of this process? What is it that they're looking for? Is it because they're not taking it seriously?
No, I mean, I'm not speaking on behalf of any studio. For my thought and my opinion is that they are, they've been very brave as a company, and a lot of these company, um, and there's two parts to it. Number one is that they are, most of the studios are. Number two is a lot of these studios are also just a publishers. They, the rights doesn't remain with them. Uh, Disney does own a lot of their own legacy rights, but we're talking other studios out there in the market. They don't own everything. They have to go through the producers, the directors, the creators. You have to get everyone to sign off. It's easier to get signed off on a T-shirt or a apparel merchandise than signing off on a digital collectible or NFT. I mean, and that's one of the reasons why you don't see so many digital games out there for every type of property out there. Uh, if it was easy to do one of these deals, you'll see it everywhere. And we are hoping um, that the studios are eventually going to be going to mainstream with this. And they are treating uh, digital collectible as a category for them, if not most of them are already.
Yeah, and the reason I I brought up the taking it seriously point was I feel like there's an important step in achieving the paradigm shift that we were talking about earlier. And it stems from the idea that nobody in the mainstream takes Web3 seriously. Nobody takes us seriously. And that's because it hasn't been serious. It's still an industry that's based on degen. Sorry, guys, in the chat. It's still based on degen speculation and hype, right? But there is so much opportunity to give people that is more than speculation. How
100%.
does VeVe? How do you show the world that this is serious business?
Yeah. So going back to you talked about being serious, um, and true story is the apartment block I live in. I think I requested for possibly an EV charger. The chairman of the body corp in his mid late 60s or early 70s, I don't know. He the answer he told me is he doesn't believe in EV cars, and he think that having the charger there is going to burn down the building. You got a whole raft of people who have, very old school. So we are entering in something very new, and to get this industry serious is really there would be what we call a tipping point. And you remember the times where you used to do SMS texting, now you do
Yeah,
WhatsApp, you do other ways of messaging, and it just happens because it breaks. The app was so viral, and when now it connected all your phone book contact. So we will see that happen one day. And I
yeah,
do think Phoebe is doing the right way and moving the right path. It's just taking a lot longer than we'd like, but we have definitely moved a lot faster than we have initially planned in our business plan. We are turning up to mass Comic Cons, for example. We are turning up to
mhm,
shows. We are educating. We are advertising a lot more, and we're rebuilding that brand awareness. Um, so I think it will be just time. I mean, in reading comic, you will think it's a sunset industry. Who reads comic now? But during COVID, people went to pick up the boxes that they put away in storage. They start going through things, and comic book had a massive surge. And as of today, that industry is still continuing to grow and creating that ecosystem. Similar to when these studio bringing out these movies, the DC or Marvel universe, or these films, that the writers been writing, drawing these characters as going back as early as the 60s, for Spider-Man. And they're reusing that in a different new format, and grabbing that new audience. And I guess it just matter of time for that audience to wake up and see it. It took a long time. So if you look at, one of my favorite comic book is AF-15, the first appearance of Spider-Man. That came out in 19, I think 61. So 61 or 63.
mm,
Um, so that, yeah, 1963, sorry, and I think August. So that's only been out for that's been out for 60 years, and that significance of that has been becoming relevant still, and today. And people continue to grow their love and their fandom, the new movies coming out, and so on. So it's really
yeah,
how these studios and producers, writers can bring that character into the relevance. For VV, we will continue to bring out, that fandom, things that people loved to grow up with. And as we move forward, the new audience, like I have mentioned earlier, they are into the gaming. They believe in digital assets. And in fact, kids used to play with toys when they're from 1 year old to 14. Now kids are buying toys, I believe, at 1 year old to about 7, because by that time age group, they are on the iPads already.
yeah,
And so that digital significance, that round of cycle will come. And that's why the trading card craze lasted so long recently. because that nostalgia, when you used to play at school, now you have kids, you bring out your old cards, you got them into it, and that's that cycle. So the new generation that's coming out who love playing the online game, buying online skins and assets, they will educate the next generation to go, well, digital is the way and digital is the
Of
medium.
course. Of course, but we also have to take into consideration that digital, the new way of digital, is coming from this very speculative realm. So it is up to the brand to build credibility, because it really comes down to the most credible, familiar, reliable brand of digital collectibles for the
Mm.
audience, for the mainstream audience to step over, correct?
100%. I mean, if you go very deep in studying the history of trading cards or the history of comic, studio used to pump out comic with different cover every single week, and enticing collectors buying them. They weren't even buying them to read. A lot of these people bought them to resell because there was just so many unique variants. Same as trading card, there used to be dozens and dozens of game coming out every year, and that bubble basically popped. But that industry of comic reading, collecting, is still exists today. That same industry for that trading card that popped in the late 90s, early 2000 is still here in existence. So everything goes through a cycle, and I think we went through the first wave with really what I call it just a speed bump. Um, the, the definitely the corrections was happening because you just couldn't have things that grew too fast overnight in value for those people who speculate in the industry.
Right. And I think, that's the job. That's the job of the brand, to build that reliability. And especially, it's not just reliability, it's security as well. And
Mm,
speaking of security, I do want to bring up OMI token, because people do often ask me, why is there a token involved here? So if you don't mind, for just a
yeah.
moment, what exactly is the role of OMI token in the
Yeah.
VeVe ecosystem,
So
and what is the offering here?
yeah. So originally, when we envisioned the app when it came alive, we wanted to have a token that is unique to our own identity, and that was really how users could do conduct that payment. When we structured the business up, first we wanted the token to able to allow users to redeem or purchase or use it as a form of exchange uh, on the platform. But then later date, we start to find out the security aspect of that. Number one is the regulation in regards to the anti-money laundering laws and act. Number two is the platform that we on, the Apple and the Googles, doesn't allow another payment method for users to bypass their collection fee. So, and ever since we have been coming out with a new way how we will navigate that. And the third part, another part's about the token, is that OMI is a deflationary token mechanism where a collectible, when it's minted or sold on the platform, X amount of the tokens are burned and basically used up in the ecosystem. So you have a devalue on the OMI supply. So these was few of the things. Ever since we had to restructure a little bit, and our users will see a lot more announcement coming in 2024. And during the way, in the last 3 years, we have some legacy issue we had to deal with, and number two was the utility value of it. So we have actually been working with gaming studios where OMI token is a more of a centric for reward system. We have rebundled and repositioned the OMI utility with our master collectors program, and then we're going to be launching a program where users now can redeem the points that they earn through staking their OMI in their wallets and earning those points by staking the collectibles, keeping them in their wallet, and so on.
Do you
So
want
we
that
are,
to be your focus as well, in addition to everything else that we're talking about? Do you think all of that can be accomplished, or do you have
yes,
priorities in your focus?
we have priority in a number of ways. This is a multiple moving parts in the business. So unfortunately, there's regulatory
Right.
clarifications. Once it's a little bit more clear, then we'll know how to navigate it. We are close watch like any other projects out there that have a similar position as we are. We have a much stronger team than where we were 3 years ago. I have to admit that, like any startup, you go through that hyper growth. We're definitely in a much better position where we can navigate and control each part of these of our business, and we have a very clear vision where we want to be at and how we get there. You may
Yeah.
never see VeVe be the front of something and trial out. We may sometimes be second or third. We see what other people done it, how they navigate through those issues. The regulatory is a main component because you have only just starting to see regulatories are cleaning up exchanges. And I think I believe I saw a news headline: Coinbase got their license for digital crypto in parts of Europe today, and we welcome that because that means you start to see country and region taking these a bit more serious. Um,
Yeah.
we just need to know that they're going to be treating the digital collectible NFT as a security product before you start the gates opening out and so on. In
Yeah.
2024, we got a lot of thing on our roadmap and we aim to deliver these on time. We have new products, and we talked about how the utility of OMI will be important. We will be announcing some of these, and we clearly understand some of the issue, what the customer want, what our holders would like to see. We know all those. So, we are getting there one by one.
There's so much ahead of you. I mean, there's the regulation aspect of it. There's the infrastructure. There's the technology. There's the new. Uh, this whole space is so nascent and so new, and it feels like it's like hurry up and fail, or hurry up and make a mistake, or so there's just a I feel like a lot of time needs to go by for some of these offering to really shape and form, and it's just great to hear that these are all part of your vision. And just
Mm,
for being 3 years old of a startup company, and again, I am an owner of a startup. It's tough, and you're dealing with some serious technology here that is so innovative that it's going to affect us globally. So I really want people to understand the significance of what you have ahead of you, that you have to get right, right?
mm,
Because you can't get it wrong twice, right? I know that people have a lot of questions, and I've promised them that we're going to answer some of their questions. But I want to bring up for the mainstream audience this crazy community. Oh my gosh, they are so passionate. They're such amazing community. I mean, I've gotten to know so many of them in the last few months, and I'm so impressed by them, their loyalty, their involvement in this community. I don't know who's crazier, the VeVe fam or the Disney fans. I think it's a match. It's a tie, I should say. But I mean, I see them educating, informing, running Discord spaces, doing giveaways. They're just like no other community, and the support that they have, that behind you, it's incredible. How does Vivi engage and support this amazing community?
Yeah, thank you for that. We we in a way we owe everything to our fans out there. They the the fans out there are the one that put us where we are today. So our we will continue to deliver, and I think one of the key aspect is that both myself and my co-founder, we really try to reach out and try to understand what the users and the fans want. We try to build a community. I mean, we don't get me wrong, we have our ups and downs, and we make many. I believe we make more wrong decisions than right in many times because our fan echoes 10 times, 20 times louder when we make a mistake. We try to fix things. We listen to them, uh, and they yeah. I mean, the community is probably the most amazing thing um, I have come across, and very lucky. The past 3 years, we have met many of them on the road and conferences, and I just couldn't. I don't know how the word could describe um, how important they are, and I think another key aspect is that a lot of our fans are collectors that love collecting, or they never know they love collecting until they start collecting Fifi, and then they go back to go, well, you got me into collecting comic again, or I have a physical variant of this. So it's really great to see them and hear their stories. One of the important bit I think to keep the community glued together is to have that same goal, that same vision.
Yeah.
Um, our goal in VV, myself and my co-founder Dan, there hasn't been one moment, honestly, not even 1 second, we thought about, oh, that's put our feet off the pedal. We are continue to accelerate. Um, the team is much stronger than ever before. We and I remember years ago when we first started, the first day the app went live, where there was only myself and Dan signed up, we purchased the first Batman at my kitchen table. And, his words were going, I hope people love digital collecting and then we'll buy a Batman. And that was, that time went so fast. One of the important thing and something was very hard is that the technology sector in this industry, they move every 6 8 weeks. I mean, you as you know, uh, people in this audience, they live in a very fast pace, and one of the difficult side is that the license or the brand, the studios that we work with, they work in very traditional. So it's trying to find a really fine balance how to manage expectation. And I think one of the things that we are proud of in a way is we understand how to balance that. The community is very important for the collectors on the VV, the community on the OMI. And despite all the letdowns that we have throughout the year, they a lot of them still stick with us, and I think is we've been very truthful on the issues and the areas that we're facing problem with, and we're working and navigating through. And one last thing is that we don't give up. I think the community understand that we are just two headless chicken that just going everywhere. We try to find a way to resolve every issue from top to the micro little thing. Down to the little thing is, Dave, you mint, there's just too many secret rares being minted. We need to go lower. We need to do this. We are fine tuning the business and understanding that data now we are getting and create that momentum to continue.
It's I was talking to our good friend Will from Cryptoways yesterday, and he said to me, people need to understand that to build fandom, to build a brand, and for people to love that brand so much, it takes 20 plus years before that brand is worth six figures, right? And he said that in our world, in our Web3 and NFT world, we did this backwards, right? We speculated that it should be worth six figures, and then we're trying to build a fandom and utility, and make people and help people love it, right? Whereas we have to stick to the basics, and we have to stick to the formula and the model, and really do it the other way. Do you believe that, and do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, being in the gaming retail business for the past 25 years, just validate that. The collectibles that I sell. I mean, the some of these early Pokemon. I was the one that bought the first edition to New Zealand. I have them and I sold them through. And I believe back then the first edition Charizard was only going for $40 US. Now, like you say, it's going for a six figure. I acquired some of the early comics in the late 90s, early 2000 for 150 of the price. It took some of these brands. I mean, the Amazing Fantasy comic I mentioned to you, that's taken 60 years since that
Yeah.
was produced to get to where it is. We, I, you know, that, so that's a one problem, but there's also a massive issue with the macroeconomic. You seeing, and why is it happening? There's a huge inflation value. People don't value money the way they used to. Um, the just whole other thing. So
The
it's not
whole
just really,
economic impact of it too,
yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Look at our economies, yeah.
yeah, surrounding, and I think governments throughout the world announcing printing more money, so the
Yeah,
inflation will continue to go up. And I think one other thing was a lot of these young um, customers and young people, they feel that they're missing out buying cheap houses or buying things. They think, well, since I can't own that, I'll buy these either digital collectible or NFT or tokens. And that one goal is, well, how do we get rich quick? Well, it's not going to happen because it doesn't really happen that way. It
right.
takes a long time, um, and
This is a
it
long-term investment.
yeah, and it requires a lot of these continuous uptake, right? I mean,
Right,
the brains that we love today, we only judging the brains that live through that 20-year cycle. We don't look at the brains that people don't talk about anymore, or the card game. For every one great card game that survived that 20 years, there's 50 plus trading cards and card games out there that fail and it's with nothing today. So
right,
it takes a long time to create brands and value them and that engage with their audience. So some of them does very well, and
right,
VeVe thrive and aim to be one of those brands. We see ourselves as a brand as well because we engage with our audience. When we validate a good brand that comes on board, our users trust us. So we need to continue to send that message across. So it's not just a one-way thing
yeah,
out there. It's not always just about how we're going to bring out the next hype or the next best thing and the most valuable thing. Everything you see in VV, especially some of these collectible that is going down in history, are the first digital mint. When we talk about this, like the first appearance of a comic characters appear on their cover, these are some of the first product that will come onto digital platforms, like the first Babe Ruth baseball card, the first, even I remember when Michael Jordan turned to a golf player, they brought out a trading card set for it. So that was his first appearance as a golf trading card collectible out
right.
there.
Which you bring up a good point, but I'm not going to get into it because I want to ask one last question, and then I want to get into uh, the community's questions. But maybe we'll have a part two because I do want to talk about supply and demand and how
Yeah,
many releases are too many releases. But I'm going to
yeah,
leave that for the next one. We have to acknowledge when you, as you're talking, we really do have to acknowledge that your team and this amazing community have accomplished a lot in 3 years, like a lot. and we're still early. And again, any startup is constantly evolving, tweaking, realigning to finally have that aha moment and say, this is it, this is us, and we're going to stick with this. And through that experience, there are ups and downs, wins and losses, but both deserve, and I want the community to remember this, they both deserve to be celebrated, right? When you look at 2023, last question here, what are some of the milestones that stand out to you? And when you close your eyes and envision VeVe in 2024, what does that vision look like?
Yeah. So, my God, the year went extremely fast. Um, there has been so much being achieved. It might not be material in front end of our product and to our audience, but some of the major thing is internally that we have scaled the company to a position that allow us to focus and put our heart and dedication in each of these moving parts. The other side, what we are looking forward to 2024 is basically the last half a year or so. There's new team members. What have we been working on? We have been very quietly putting our heads down, um, on building brand new products, brand new interface. Um, New versions of VeVe will be launching in somewhere in 2024. I won't give you a date, but we will be announcing some of these in the big cons coming up. So I do want our audience to understand that for us, we move away from giving quarterly or daily updates or monthly update. Doesn't mean we have gone away and taken a long holiday. You and a lot of these will be revealed in 2024. Um, I I can't give too much away because I know our marketing, our tech team in the back just don't want to overpromise. But we do have a lot of things coming out. Phoebe's got great new products coming, and I'm not even talking just collectibles. You will see new refresh of the experience. I think, and well, obviously the Phoebe first that's on the beta testing. And I do want to apologize. A lot of you guys probably receive our invitation the last 48 hours and then um, got got a small block on it because we're not quite ready for you to join. But please stand by. You will be coming on next, and we're working towards that goal.
All right. Well, guys, I'm going to give the last 5 to 8 minutes to some questions, but I want you to remember this. Leave the specific community questions for Discord. And if you guys want to invite me to come and ask those questions, I will gladly accept. But for tonight, we're asking mainstream questions. So think about what an average person on the street wants to know about VV. I'm going to take some of your questions here. So go ahead and ask away. Um, let's see. Exchanges for OMI.
Yeah, we constantly are in contact with new exchanges for me. We understand the importance of the liquidity. We have submitted a number of applications with exchanges we believe is uh, top tier international global player. Um, we how exchange I believe it works is they don't really contact you until something they need more clarification, and if they chose, it just happens. They don't really give you a heads up or anything. So we understand the importance of that, and just like anyone, we're waiting as well.
All right, I actually I love these questions. Are there any plans to further expand the social aspect of the app? Something like sharing videos, sending DMs, sending offers.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier the video feature should be coming out anytime soon. I probably shouldn't be giving that away. I think we are doing some announcement on that. So that's coming. the sending DM, sending offers, I believe we are looking at it. I'm not sure if they are tier one features that we want to make sure happens this quarter, but we know that.
There was actually a follow-up question to that. Here we go. Do you see an entrance into the wider Asian market soon?
Yes, we are working with a large global partner in Asia to help us, to surface our requirement to enter into the greater Asia market. But we see Asia as the greater China area. We have the Korean market, and we have Japanese market. These are three on its own pillars. They are massive. We are going to look at releasing geo release only available in these regions coming up, and we're going to trial that with some of um, the IP we already have existing, and some will be localized content. Southeast Asia is another very large market, but we are still navigating through the KYC and the payment methods.
Does VeVe have any plans to get more users? There's no growth all year. How do you guys know there's no growth all year? I want to know that.
Yeah, there's certainly growth for this year, in terms of we measure the growth in many different key aspects. We don't just measure growth from year to year. If you look at traditional toy company during the COVID period, they have a huge growth, like any industry, subscriptions, Netflix. But if we're only looking at the growth based on what we have done and what we have sold, yeah, there has been softness, but we definitely have new users. We are adding new properties. We are selling to new users as well. So they certainly grow. They just haven't been that growth that you saw in 2021, 22. Doesn't mean it's dead.
Right. Is there is the team building for Apple Vision now? It's coming out soon and would be awesome to see it running on them at the get-go.
Yeah, we are looking into certainly we are looking to be adaptable into the Apple version. We can't guarantee it will be, will be live day to day with the release of the Google. We do have a couple things that we do want to announce and roll it out live in Q1 2024, which you will see all over the news for that, hopefully. And then Q2, there be certain parts of our business will go through a refresh. Many of you have probably seen that the app is now a web app. You could actually you you don't actually have to use your Apple app or Google. There's a web app version. So these are some of the things you can probably get an idea where we're moving into as well.
Um, let's see here. Will we have trades anytime soon with verified users?
Yeah, we are definitely looking into that. I mean, ideally is yes. Ideally, I mean, um, yeah, we will have a look at that coming up. How we define, the verified users. Um, yeah, but definitely we'll look into that.
Plans for buying Omi on the VeVe web app.
We do have some partnership announcements coming out where you will be able to trade in OMI for certain NFTs or collectible or features and so on. So that will be coming out on our proper announcement channel.
I like this questions. Are there plans to improve the reading experience, like guided reading we know from Comixology?
Yes, we have been looking into that, the whole what we call the smart paneling, and that will be announced when the time's right. But yeah, do stick around. We understand a lot of these new users coming on. They are actual comic readers and fans.
This one is a little specific, guys. I told you don't ask specific, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What will become of the feed in the app once VeVeverse is out?
What will become of the
What will
feed?
become of the feed in the app
Oh,
once VeVeverse is out?
yeah. The VeVeVerse will be available through an web app as well as through your desktop. So the feed as such will still be in your normal VeVe app, remains there.
Okay. And let's see here. Are anime collectibles coming to VeVe?
Yeah. I numerous time I talk about anime collectibles. We are definitely we do have a few already. They're just a bit more nostalgia, older brands. We are definitely working with new publishers. Hopefully, you see that in 2024.
Um, side question came in here. Are there going to be, uh, how are we going to attract more women? How are we attracting more women?
Yeah, we. Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Uh,
That's a very good question. I love to bring as much women into this space. So go ahead,
we
David.
we
How are you bringing more women here?
I will make sure within the next 2 months, we have more female content orientated fandoms items. I think we need to start look at um, items collectible out there everyone loves. Uh, I think that would be one way. And maybe for our fans out there, get your girlfriend, your wives, your partners, download their app and start pushing buy
Exactly.
now.
Miss
That
Gek
would
loves
yeah
Barbie. Well, we can start there, no? Miss Gek wants some Barbie.
yeah I yeah we know we're lacking in that for sure. I mean, there's no way we could hide from that truth, but we are working hard to try to get more content that's relevant for females.
By the way, congratulations to you on Women VV. I was in I think that was the Discord, or I'm sorry, spaces I was in last night, and that was so cool. I really love that. So congratulations to you on that. Another one, are you still in talks to acquire Pokemon license? Oh,
We're talking with many licensors. I won't specifically say any because when we in talks with licensor, we normally have a very tough NDA. We can't even mention we're in talks or not. But we're definitely in communication with most of the major brands that's already on VeVe or not on VeVe. We have dialogues going on. When the time is right, we see fit. One of the thing with VeVe, what we have learned is that every time we bring out a bigger brand and bigger brand, it actually left ourselves on the bridge that we can't go backwards. So I just wanted to make sure that whatever we bring out, we're ready for it and we're going to do a great job from it. And that's part of that whole growth experience here in VeVe with new staff coming on board. We want to get that supply chain, that pipeline. I mean, I still remember people had that meme going around when Limbo come out, and when Limbo came out, now we have a whole raft of other car brands that we want to bring out, but they're not Lamborghini. Uh, does the audience still want it? They feel that it is still relevant. So we're working on that.
Mr. MC1, we can't miss his question. When music?
Yeah, so there is actually a reason why the music side, collectible music, VV music collectible, had been delayed, and we are hoping in Q1 that will be coming out. So there will be a raft of collectible that is related to music, musicians or groups, what have you not, and there will be a trial period where we will hopefully to bring out content and collectible around the music or with music included.
Uh, I'm sure. I mean, it goes so hand in hand. I like this question by Spanglish. Hi, Spanglish. Are companies already building on in the ViviVerse or on the ViviVerse?
I can't give away too much. We have selected a few partner to be part of that program to be building things out. Um, so yeah, we have started dialogue on that. Some of the brands already are working on assets. Yeah.
Uh, any any feedback on immutable nodes? I don't know
Uh,
what the specific question is here.
sure on that one. I
Uh,
might have to check it. I wouldn't know what the question is in
I'm
relation.
gonna have Ms. Geck send it to me on the side. I know somebody was asking that. And then any regulatory issues that the community needs to be aware of.
No, I mean we keeping nothing that the community probably not aware of already. There's nothing new at the government front. We recently have um, edu- recently was selected to be part of the education program for certain regulatory group to let them understand the difference between um, digital collectibles and NFT versus what a crypto token is. So it's not being grouped together and so on. But nothing we have heard back too much negative news about that front.
Yeah, I think the question I found the question was: are there any regulatory issues restricting them from listing OMI on more exchanges?
Okay.
What's the delay specifically?
Yeah, we don't actually get to select what exchange we get listed on. We the truth is everyone knows this is very common knowledge that you submit application, and if the community sentiment is good, you get listed. As simple as that. If the sentiment is no good, obviously exchanges don't want fathers out there. They want healthy community, just like any business you bring on partners. So they review. They are very smart. They have way to scan through our social media, our channels, our customers, our holders, and they make a decision from that front. Um, th- that's what they communicate back to us constantly.
While we're on the regulatory issue, just actually, I have this question too. With all the security questions that are going on right now, is OMIA security? Do we know that yet?
Well, I mean, we have opinion letters around that, which we submit to support our version, but we haven't been through a regulatory um, scrutiny. I think they look at the top 100 tokens and they work with those. Um, yeah, far as I understand, that's how that process works.
Okay. Well, guys, I did breeze through all the questions. I know I didn't grab all of your questions, so I apologize, but I've been holding David here for a long time. And I want to be mindful of his evening, or I don't know if it's day or night over there. Um, just the last 30 seconds, you want to put a important, very important, valuable question. I will bring it up. Ms. Geck, thank you so much for moderating. I love how behaved you guys were. I'm very proud of you all. I hope we answered your questions for the most part in the time that we had. When next? Wait, what is a peach mochamo?
Which Peach Momoko is a
What
very
is it? Educate
it's a
me.
it's an artist from Japan. It's been
Ah,
crazy popular with our fans. I'm personally working on it. Hopefully, we will see more artwork from Peach or cover. Um, yeah, so hopefully.
SpaceX cap? What is that all about? What is that, guys? Stop messing with me, all right? All right. Well, David, this was so, so amazing. I really enjoyed it. I really appreciate you coming all the way through from New Zealand. It was an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. You truly are a visionary. It's just your dedication, your passion, um, are the things that I think this community really believes in wholeheartedly, and I now do too. And I just I mean, I understand how much is in front of you, and to just make everyone happy is a very hard task. But somehow, there's something here that people love, and they're not going away. And I think part of it has to do with you as the founder and CEO as well. So hats off to you for that. Any last words that you want to share with your community or even the mainstream
Yeah.
audience?
Yeah, thanks, Mona. Thanks for the opportunity. I know we've been working on this recording live interview for a while. Um, the like I said before, 2023 has been like an endurance for us here at VeVe. We are moving. We hope we're moving the same way as normal, and nothing. Hopefully the 2024 will bring you more great joy. We got a lot more in what we're offering that's coming. And, for the mass market collectors out there, I hope you guys have an opportunity to download our app to give us a try, just, to put your first foot into the digital realm and just see if there's something out there that will interest you. And we have an amazing, beautiful community that will support and help you to guide you through your first collectible. Um, for those of you up in Europe, both myself and Dan, we will be having a booth at Crypto XR in south of Paris in January 25th. So looking forward to see a lot of you there. We are going to be launching, and we do have special guests that's going to be in our stand. Um, and for many of you who is going through the holiday period, be safe, be very kind with each other, and hopefully you guys are enjoying what we have coming to offer during the holiday period and our VV drop.
And I am so honored to be here today as well. And I just want to thank every single one of you who, in the past 3, 4 months, have been educating me on VeVe, teaching me how to use the app. Miss Geck is going to walk me through Discord. I'm excited about that. And I just, I'm really happy for this very fair conversation because it was truly meant to educate me and the mainstream audience who don't know about VeVe. And I think we accomplished that tonight. And hopefully, we'll have a part two where we can go a little bit deeper in some of the technology, some of the offerings. But I think for our first one, we did pretty well. I'm proud of us, David. And thanks again for Miss Gek, Mr. MC. There's so many of you in the chat that I want to thank. You know who you are. We really appreciate you. Thank you for supporting us. And please make sure, speaking of support, you hit that subscribe button and support me. If you want me to come and do more of these, just hit that subscribe button right there in the corner of your screen. And hopefully, we'll be back with more about VeVe and what to expect in 2024. That's all the time we have for tonight, guys. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you again next week with more headlines in technology. Please make sure you stay safe and have a beautiful, beautiful holiday. Thank you so much, David.
Thank you.